And thank you there to the News Desk team. And now it's time for one of our regular series of interviews. And I'm delighted to be joined here in the Llanelli Talking Newspaper studio by Mr. Derek Edwards, who is now in charge of the new hospital service offering support for partially sighted people and blind people in the Hywel Dda Health Board. Am I correct?
That's correct. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you, all right?
Fine, thank you for the invite.
Good. It's a pleasure to have you here, Derek. Now then, Derek, you're a former police inspector, and but now you've taken up this new post.
That's correct. I joined the police service at 18 years of age, and after over 30 years in the police service, I decided to have a change.
Right. So what exactly is your job title now?
It's an eye clinic liaison officer based in the eye clinics in the Hywel Dda Health Board.
Right, and you're based then in Llanelli and in Carmarthen?
Well, I visit three clinics. I
Right.
visit the Prince Philip Clinic, Amman Valley and Glangwili.
Right.
But also I provide service to people in the Withybush Clinic as well. There's 5 in total. There's one more, and that's at North Road in Aberystwyth. And that's covered by my colleague Melanie Richards.
Right, so it's quite a big area to cover geographically.
It is. It's a challenge. It's rural health service is always a challenge. And
So in terms of job title, as you say, what you're called?
an eye clinic liaison officer.
Right. And what does that do exactly?
Well, RNIB are here to support anyone with sight loss, and one of the ways we do this is providing eye clinic liaison officers based in the eye clinics throughout the country. The service started in 2005, and there are now 100 eye clinic liaison officers offering support to blind and partially sighted people across the UK and Northern Ireland. It's a service that bridges the gap between the patient's medical needs and their social needs. It can be a very lonely place going to an eye clinic. It can be overwhelming, it can be frightening, it can be all of those things. And when you leave, you might be on your own with little family support at home. So we're there in the clinics hoping to bridge that gap between the medical needs and the social needs. It's impossible to visit everyone in their own homes. So the idea of being in the clinic is the one thing in common that anyone with an eye disorder might have is that at some stage they will visit an eye clinic.
Right.
And that's where we hope to make that contact with our clients.
It must be a dreadfully traumatic thing for somebody to be approaching sight loss, even partial sight, and it's a very difficult process to guide them through that.
It can be. As I said, it's frightening, it's overwhelming, it's all of those things, and it's knowing where to turn. There's an awful lot of help out there to help people, but it's knowing how to access it.
Right. And part of your role is to sort of help open the door to those different things.
Absolutely. Create those pathways, make sure those contacts are in place, and try and get those questions answered. Questions that people will want answers to quickly once they're diagnosed with an eye disorder.
Right. Your work then falls under the banner of the RNIB, the National Institute for the Blind, yes?
That's correct.
And they've received special funding for this?
Yes, thanks to a big lottery grant, we've been able to expand the service throughout Wales, and we're pretty much got pretty good coverage throughout the whole of Wales now.
Right. So this grant money has come in very handy then. And
very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. I'm very grateful for it.
How many weeks have you been in post now?
I started at the beginning of December. I had to go away on some training up into Birmingham. The first initial weeks were meeting people out in the community, ready to set up the networks, and I'm now in the clinics meeting patients.
Right. So I'm sure it's a very valuable service and much appreciated by people who visit you.
Yes, there's some wonderful characters
I bet.
to be met there,
Yeah.
and I'm meeting new ones every week.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a world away from what you used to do as a policeman.
That's correct, but in many ways similar. Throughout my work, community work, I would often meet people who would be in need, would be vulnerable, would need help.
Right.
And it's just an extension of that in many ways.
Yeah. So you were based then as a policeman in Llanelli or other parts of Dyfed-Powys Force?
I'm born and bred in Cardigan.
Right.
I joined the police service at 18, and I initially went away to the Midlands. After 4 or 5 years there, I came back home. As I say, west is best.
Indeed.
I came back to Dyfed-Powys, and during that time I've been stationed in Cardigan, Newcastle Emlyn, Lampeter, Llanelli, Carmarthen headquarters, so pretty much throughout Carmarthenshire and Ceredigion.
Right, yeah. So in terms of accessing your services, then you, what do I do if I need help?
Okay, you don't need to be a patient to access the service at all. Anyone whose sight loss is causing them problems with their everyday living is more than welcome to come and speak to us. Hopefully, I'd like to make that initial introduction in the eye clinic. But if you attend the eye clinic on a day that I'm not there, please ask a member of staff to refer you to the RNIB Eye Clinic Liaison Service. They'll either give you a leaflet on the desk, or you can leave a telephone message on my answer phone service and I'll get back to you. I said it'll either be that initial face-to-face contact, or once I've got your phone number, I'll give you a ring in private and we can have a chat for as long as you need.
Right. I'm assuming then also, if there are relatives or friends or people who have problems, then they could also get in touch on behalf of somebody, could they? Or
yes, quite. We're not there just for the people suffering sight loss. We're there for the carers, relatives, anyone who can benefit from our service. Your time in the clinic is quite precious. You may have waited many months to get in to see your consultant, and that's your priority when you go on the day, is to see your consultant and make the best of your time with the clinic staff. You may not have time to chat to me on the day in the clinic, but once I've got that initial contact, I'll get back to you.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a wonderful job. And are there any other services that you offer? Or?
Well, what we hope to do is open up the doorways to all the network of people that are out there to help people. That could be through a local society, it could be through a national society. I was in a launch last week of Age Cymru, who are offering a befriending service to people age 50 plus. So there's lots of things out there in the community. The doors need to be opened up so people can access the services. Yeah,
so I would say if you're aware of things which can be out there to help people, you can help point people in the right direction then, can't you?
Well, I like to think of myself as a bit of a fixer.
Yeah.
Give me a challenge, whatever it might be. It might be trying to find a sporting event or a sporting activity for somebody who's partially sighted, to getting some practical help in the house when you get home from the clinic. Could be as simple as that.
Right. Is there a telephone number for you that you would like to give out?
Yes, I can give you the telephone number. 07884 362 827. I'm also contactable on email, and that's Derek, spelled DEREK, .edwards@rnib.org.uk. You might also want to contact the RNIB helpline. That's a wonderful service, and it's an advice line with a wealth of information there for anybody who's suffering sight loss. And that's 0303 123 9999.
And there's also a website as well, I think, isn't there? Because
the website for RNIB is www.rnib.org.uk.
Because it's one of the things I always forget, that because we have got partially sighted listeners to the Talking Newspaper, some of whom are able to actually use the internet by either virtue of voice instruction or other accessibility features on their computers. So, that's going to be very handy for them.
Yes, of course. And the website is a wealth of information on eye health and all sorts of other healthcare professionals that can help you. Yeah. We also have the Insight Radio, which is available on Sky 0188.
Right.
That's a radio channel designed primarily for blind and partially sighted people.
I shall have to listen into that and see if we can pick up some tips on how to run this talking newspaper.
Good.
Derek, it's been wonderful talking to you, and thank you for coming in. We wish you all the very best with your work, and perhaps you'll call in to see us again a few months into your work and let us know how it's going on.
Pleasure. Thanks very much indeed for the invite.
Thank you, Derek.